Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to do my first ever reading vlog. Admittedly, I have started about 3 or 4 reading vlogs that I never posted. Yeah, it goes back to me talking myself out of everything, but I figured part of the other reason why one of the reasons why I would talk myself out of it, I think, is because I think I was trying to make it like a big thing, like my favorite booktubers. But the reality is I'm a beginner. So I figured, why not cut it, how I had originally planned, it's like this big old idea. How about I make it a little bit smaller, like kind of like a little bite size. Then that way maybe I can start getting into like the habit of, creating like reading vlogs and things like that. So with all of that said, I'm pretty much just going to be reviewing and vlogging my reading experience like per book. That doesn't mean I'm going to film every single book that I read. I could if I wanted to, but if I choose not to, that's going to be totally fine as well. So today's book that I'm going to be kind of filming my reaction and reviewing at the end of the video is going to be Fairytale by Stephen King. I am already like about almost 50% of the way through, so it's not like from the beginning to the end type of thing. But I figured the best way to start is to start. So here we go. Welcome to this reading vlog, I guess. Okay, so I have like fur, I think, stuck to it's like drying. I just applied this like liquid matte lipstick and it's drying, and I think there's like a piece of fur that's stuck to it. Anyways, I don't think you care about that, but it is what it is. Okay, so Fairytale by Stephen King. First, let me actually tell you what it's about, and then I'll go ahead and kind of discuss my enjoyment of the book and where I'm at right now. Charlie Reed looks like a regular high school kid, great at baseball and football, a decent student, but he carries a heavy load. His mom was killed in a hit-and-run accident when he was 7, and grief drove his dad to drink. Charlie learned how to take care of himself and his dad. When Charlie is 17, he meets a dog named Radar and her aging master, Howard Bowditch, a recluse in a big house at the top of the big hill with a locked shed in the backyard. Sometimes strange sounds emerge from it. Charlie starts doing odd jobs for Mr. Bowditch and loses his heart to Radar. Then when Bowditch dies, he leaves Charlie a cassette tape telling him a story no one would believe. What Bowditch knows and has kept secret all his long life is that inside the shed is a portal to another world. King's storytelling in Fairytale soars. This is a magnificent and terrifying tale in which good is pitted against overwhelming evil, and a heroic boy and his dog must lead the battle. So, Fairytale by Stephen King. Where do I even start? Let's see. I was actually at the so it's in the middle of January right now, but at the beginning of this month and this year, I had picked up a different book, and I don't know, for some reason, it might be because the hype around it is like super good and super big. It kind of overwhelms me a little bit. I'm not sure. But I started reading that book, and then I randomly picked up Fairytale, and I just became hooked. So I put the other book on pause, and I've been reading Fairytale, and it's been great. I mean, so I think I should right off the bat say I am a huge Stephen King fan. Like, any of his books are auto purchases for me. So right now I do have in my book, like one whole bookshelf is my plan is just to be all his books in like one bookshelf. And then I am kind of reading through his backlog as well, but I am also keeping up with like the newer releases. At the end of last year, I read Holly, and that'll be another video for another day. But they are auto buys for me. Auto purchases, auto buys, same thing, I think. So I love Stephen King's writing. There is something about his writing and the way that he, like, his storytelling that just grips me. My attention, everything. Like, he gives me enough details for me to get emotionally connected to some of the characters, and then sometimes he crushes my heart, but it's okay. It's okay. So yeah, Stephen King for me is an amazing. And then my battery dies. I don't even remember where I left off, but Fairytale. So I picked this up, and I automatically became attached to Radar and Mr. Bowditch. Like, it's just, Radar has my heart. I'm kind of scared where that storyline is going a little bit, but I'm sure it'll still be okay. I hope. But I think, so filming videos is hard. So it starts off with Charlie just, being a regular high school kid and all of that. And he's into sports, and he's, a typical all-American kid, it sounds like. And one day he hears something that calls his attention, and that's how he ends up meeting Radar and Mr. Bowditch. At the beginning, it's not necessarily a friendship, but a friendship starts forming and all of that. And then Charlie falls in love with Radar. Like I said, Radar has my heart. Charlie, I totally understand why he fell in love with Radar. Radar is the dog. And there's that, ultimately Mr. Bowditch and then Charlie become kind of like friends and all of that. And then because of the situations that led up to how they met, Charlie helps out Mr. Bowditch, around the house, all of that. Like, he becomes kind of like his caretaker. But there's little snippets of Mr. Bowditch and the question of how old is he? There's like a family history, but it's a little bit splotchy and like all of that. Well, once he passes away, that's not a spoiler, because I literally just read it. But after he passes away, that's when Charlie finds out about what's, the secret. And oh my gosh, I feel like the first, because I feel like the character building and like the relationship building between Charlie and Mr. Bowditch and Radar, like that was, I feel like, the first half of the book, and that alone is a book, I think. There's just things you go through, and like, just, I have a place in my heart for elderly people, so like, to me, that was just like, it was a good story, so that in it of itself was like super good. But then once Charlie finds out like the secret and stuff like that, it's like a whole different story within the same story. Like, you literally jump into a different world. And oh my God, this book has 2 different world buildings, and they are amazing. Like, amazing. So I'm not that far into like the new world yet. He has encountered some of like the people there, and we're like learning a little bit of like in a way like the politics and also like how things work and why things are the way they are, and like we're really starting to learn about like the bad people, or like, you know, whatever's bad in this other world. But yeah, it's good. I'm really enjoying it. I haven't been able to like think about anything else, because anytime I'm not reading it, I am thinking about it, because again, I am like attached to these characters now, mainly to Radar, but I mean Charlie's pretty cool too. But yeah, so we shall see where the next chapter takes us, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. Charlie is trying to help Radar, and they are on their quest. They are on their adventure, and we have been introduced to some of the characters in this like other world, and I'm also getting attached to them. Like their backstory, and just you're learning a lot about that. And yeah, Stephen King just builds worlds and characters like no other, I think. So yeah, let's keep reading. Hi, so I just passed the 50% mark. Well, before I show you guys where I'm at, I did want to point out that this book has, let me turn the camera around, hang on. Sorry, I got a phone call, but I wanted to say that, or show that each chapter has a picture. It's been a while since I have actually seen like a book have pictures like on the chapter pages. So that's actually pretty cool. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, I love how Miko is just fine with like me putting the book on him. But let's see, where am I at? I am on chapter 18, and then this is the picture. And then this is my bookmark. I like to keep tags from things that I buy. Like if they have cute tags like this one. This was the Vans and SpongeBob collab that they did a few years ago. And I just keep it as my bookmark. So yeah, fun fact. Okay, now that I have flipped you guys over, I can kind of discuss it a little bit more. But hang, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so I have passed the 50 page, or not 50 page. That happened a long time ago. I passed the 50% ish way of the book, and I'm excited, but at the same time I'm nervous, because the final the final adventure, what, you know, the main character has been prepping for pretty much the entire book. Well, like I was saying, I said in the first part of this video, like the first half of the book was a different like storyline that prepped him for the imaginary, or not imaginary, it is not imaginary, for the other world. And now that once we were introduced to the other world, he, you know, up until this point, he had been, he was being prepared by all these other characters and things like that. Mr. Bodish kind of, he laid down the groundwork, but all the other main characters are the ones that, like have prepped him in a way. I am nervous. I am excited. It is the final, like, I feel like this is the adventure. And hang on, another phone call. I forgot where I was in the last video. But yeah, this is the final push for the characters, and I am excited. I'm scared because I want the plan to succeed. Because if it fails, it's going to be heartbreaking. But at the same time, it's like they gave it their all. So yeah, we are starting to finally meet some of these like bad characters that we've heard all about that he's supposed to like avoid and all these things. So we're starting to see like it's becoming a little high stakes. So I am excited. So yeah, I will keep you guys posted, but so far we are on this adventure now, and it might be one of those where I can't put it down until I'm done, but we'll see. Hi guys, so we just got back from dinner and I read a little bit more before we left. I read a little bit before dinner and I had to stop because it got to a part where it's really stressful. Like what happened is stressful, and I feel like I have to be like, the stakes were already high, but they just got like way higher. So I need to figure out if I want to keep reading tonight and potentially be heartbroken, or I don't know. Or if I should just try and forget about it and then wake up tomorrow and read. Oh, honestly, I don't know. Like, honestly, I just don't know. So I'm telling you, this book is, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a 5-star. Depending on the ending, it might be, I might bring it down a notch, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know the ending, but yeah, just the storytelling, like the layers upon layers upon layers on like all the world building, and yeah, it's like, I feel like what I first read is like a lifetime ago. That's what it feels like. Not like because it feels like it's been forever, but like where the story is now to what I read like a day or two ago, it just feels like that's a whole different other like book and world. Well, obviously it is a different world, but it's really good at making that point and making you feel and know that that was a whole different world. It's so good. I think I'm just gonna keep reading tonight and then potentially go to bed late if I can't put it down, and then I'll update you guys in the morning. Bye until tomorrow. Hi guys, long time no see, and it's within the same blog, but I got sick. So after the last clip that I filmed, which was about 2 weeks ago, I think at this point, or like a week and a half, I got sick. I got a cold. So I was down for about 4 days, and then on the 5th day of me being sick, my parents came over and they were here for a week. So yeah, it's been a minute since I recorded, but the update is that I did finish Fairytale by Stephen King. I finished it and I loved it. I am a Stephen King fan, so typically I do rate his books a little bit higher just because I like his writing style, his character and world building and things like that. But there have been a few where they haven't been my favorite. But this book right here, I think everybody should read it. It's so good. I loved it so much. I have notes on my screen, so if you see my eyes kind of looking this way, it's because I have my notes. I loved it. In my notes I think this is probably one of my favorite Stephen King books thus far. I would say the books that I have considered some of my favorites from Stephen King are It, just because it's It, and I feel like that's just a good foundation into Stephen King. And then The Institute was another favorite. I loved it. I think I devoured that book in like 2 days, and yeah, in 2 days. This is one of them, Fairytale, and then Sleeping Beauties is also one of my favorites. I just like how it leaves you thinking, you know, like just considering. And then I also love the world and character building in that book too. But this book was super fast paced. It was a story within a story, and I think I tried to explain that in one of my previous clips, that, you know, it is a story within a story, and I loved it. When Charlie jumps into the other world, it literally, as a reader, it feels like you jumped into that world yourself. And I mean, we kind of always just, like, as readers, I think we also always say that, like, there's a whole world within a book, you know, but this one was just like, it just felt like layers, like, not layers, like levels or like building stories, you know, like you actually went into a different realm. There we go. I think that's the word, realm. And I just loved it so freaking much. I just loved it. The story was all consuming in the best way possible. It was also, the character building and the world building was just expertly done. And there were so many characters that I just fell in love with. And although I did finish reading this about a week ago, there are characters that I still think to till this day. And sometimes I think about, like, their little parts in the story, and I just giggle to myself because I just, you know, it's still in my brain, active in my brain. Even the villains in the story, the way they were described and things like that, like just scenes that were, you know, that King wrote. There was times where I was a little squeamish reading, and I don't get squeamish by a lot of things, but there were some scenes with these villains that I was like, yeah. So that was good. And I think overall, I think everyone should read this book, because the storytelling was chef's kiss. Yeah. So those are my final thoughts on Stephen King Fairytale. I know this was meant to be like a reading vlog and things like that, but then I got sick, so I kind of, instead of scrapping this video like I have with all the other reading vlogs I've attempted to start and end, I decided to just follow through with this one and give the final update, because I did finish it while I was sick. So another book I did start, and I'm just gonna lump it into this video, is this is from the library, and it's The League of Lady Poisoners by Lisa Perrin. I think that's how you say her name. It has like this cool gold foil on it, and then the edges of the page are also green foiled. And then the back, I think, or I don't think, it's written and illustrated by Lisa Perrin. So this is the inside, and then throughout the entire book there's so many cool illustrations. Let me see, like there's this one right here, and then there's like this flower, and then yeah, just throughout the whole book there's this one that I liked, this one. This book is a vibe, let's just say that. This is a nonfiction illustrated book, and I don't really read that much nonfiction, and if it is nonfiction, it's kind of like the Christian self-help books. But this intrigued me because I, like many people, love to watch the ID channel and all those like crime shows on Annie and like On Patrol Live and all that. So this was about women in history that have been convicted of murders. Most of them, if not all of them, were serial killers, like women serial killers, and they were poisoners to be exact. Yeah, so, but I think I just hit it. Okay. This book, I put, this book is entertaining, but then you remember that these are real women that existed, and these are real crimes. So there were a few women from this book that I did kind of do a deeper dive, just because I had, one, never heard of them, or two, like the story seemed a little bit too wild, and I was like, was that real? And it was real. And then there were some that happened like late 1800s, early 1920 something. So she talked about in this book about like news articles, and I was like, I wonder if they're still, if I can find them online. And yeah, you can find them online and things like that. So it was, I think, if a book can make you do deeper research and you can, and you know, intrigues you enough for you to do that, I think that's a good book. And yeah, so I did rate this book 4 stars. The reason why it was not a 5-star, or like that sometimes I didn't like, not that I rolled my eyes, but it was just more like, okay, I get the point, was that it sometimes seemed like the author, I guess the author, like her commentary was more of in the way of not excusing the women that murdered, but like she did explain how, like, well, maybe if, you know, like the Catholic Church back in the day allowed women to divorce, like this lady wouldn't have committed all these, you know, murders, which, yeah, you know, but there was also, you know, it was like in the 1700s or whatever. Those kinds of things that I kind of would think in my head. So I think I'm a person that thinks if you commit a crime, you do the time. But in this case, there was no time, because back then they just murdered the murderers. So they paid their price, you know, because ultimately they did kill people. So that was something that sometimes I was like, okay, like I get it, but like also like the time. That is my reading vlog and reading update. I'll probably start a new vlog this week, and then yeah, we'll figure it out. Alrighty, thank you so much for watching. Bye.